Hi, Ann Cornick from Paintnporcelain Exchange. I'm here to teach beginners how to get started in China painting. And for those of you that have been painting a while, hope to keep you motivated. Today, we're going to be using a lot of different types of products. And I think it's important, very important, that you don't just mention resist to somebody and then move on, but you make sure they understand what resist means, what it is, and if necessary, how to use it. So I'm doing a ton of different things. Some of the oils even that I'm using might be oils you've never used before. So I'm hoping that this is a good one for both beginners and advanced people. So I'm doing butterflies and flowers in luster. We've already done that. That's over and done with. I did it on the first fire. And I've already fired it. I have Nancy's Resist here, actually. It's one of my favorites because I've had it for a year and look at how nice and soupy it is. I've never had that kind of luck with any other Resist. But I'm going to quickly go through all the steps. We are not going to get done with this project today. It's, how do I describe it? It's an evolving one. It's going to take me time. I want it to be very whimsical. I want it to be my own project. You should want yours to be your own project. So I'm just showing you some things that I did that I liked, and you can try it. So let's talk a little bit about Resist. I did most of my Resist. Let me show you. I did most of my Resist yesterday, but I did it over luster. That's important to note. First of all, when I took my luster out of the kiln, I took my paper towel with water and just wiped over it just to get the dust. And sometimes if you put luster on too thick, you get crumbly little bubbles and things. So you want all that off, okay? So I did that with paper towel. Then I took turpentine, and I use Utrecht Gum Spirits turpentine. This is what I get from Dick Blick. I really like it. It works very well for me for just about everything. And I took my turpentine, put it on a paper towel, and wiped my entire piece down. You do that with luster so that the resist will lift from the luster when you're done. If you don't put that down, it won't. And you can't leave resist on when you fire it because it will turn black. So first you fire your luster, then you wipe it with the paper towel with water, then you wipe it with the turpentine on the paper towel, and what you end up with is just basically the picture that you painted, the luster that you painted, and it's plain. Then you take Resist. Now, some of my Resist is like the one I have there, I showed you earlier, is great. This one I've been working with for a while. And I took half of the good Resist I had and half of the gummy Resist, and I mixed them together because it was semi-jelly. Now, Resist can turn to like pure jelly. And the way I store this is I put a little piece of plastic wrap over the top. I put my lid on, and I store it upside down. And I also think that helps. I store most of my Resist upside down because I think having the Resist against the top helps to keep some of the, yuck out. You need Resist brushes, and I have a whole set. I found this one works the best. This is the 0. And I saved on this piece that I did, and this is it. See, I put the luster on already. I saved one just to show you this morning. So, because luster takes a while to dry. The thicker you put it on, the longer it takes. The other thing I want to remind you is that you don't want it too thick. You don't want it too thin, because then it's hard to get off. So you want to make, I'm sorry, not luster, Resist. So you want to make sure that your Resist is applied with a kind of medium coat. And I found that using this brush for me worked. The other thing you want to have handy is I have a little bowl of water. You don't want to use drinking glasses or a bowl that you would drink out of later. It's not something that you want to drink out of afterwards. So make sure it's something you can either get rid of or you're only going to use it for Resist. And my brushes I only use for Resist. You use water with Resist, And so that's important to know. If I have one that's hard like this and I want to see if I can loosen it up, I take water in a pipette, warm water. I put several drops in it, maybe 3 or 4, and I stir it with a plastic knife. And then I pop it in the microwave, or if I can't stir it, I pop it in the microwave for maybe 5 to 10 seconds. And take it out, stir it, and just keep doing that. Add a little water, take it out, stir it. You want it to be, I'll show you. Okay, so this is my luster brush that I'm going to use. And you see how that it drips pretty easily? That means it's pretty liquidy. And I'm just going to paint it over what I have here. You want to go, if you're right-handed, go from left to right. If you're left-handed, go from right to left, because you really don't want to be in your own way, okay? And you're just going to paint it on, but you're going to paint it on very carefully. A key to using resist is to make sure that they attach. That if at all possible, you don't do like you'll be here for all night if you just do a million little petals like this. See, and then you stopped. You want to make sure that you attach them. The other thing that I think is important to keep in mind is that if there's an area like in the center of the flower that you want to keep white, you need to put resist over it now if you're going to be painting, and then that way it'll come out much crisper. Now you can paint around stuff, and I'm a big one to do that because I really don't like using resist. But in this case, I wanted to use resist because I want to avoid, I'm going to put my brush in water now, I'm done. I want to avoid having any issues with the luster dulling. And I found that the last time, I think I fired it like 3 times, and it dulled a little only because I think I got a little bit of paint in my luster and it just didn't do a nice job. So I've decided that I'm going to use the resist and that should help. So now I'm done with the resist. I'm going to put my plastic over the top of my bottle. And I'm going to seal it like this. And then I will store it upside down. Okay? So I put my brush in water. And I just swirled it around a little bit. I don't want it to get gummy. I don't want to necessarily leave it in water. But I think, you know, while we're talking, it won't hurt. When you go to remove the resist, and we'll do that a little later, I have this little, it's really nice. It was a raised paste and enamel needle, and I like it. So this will lift your resist, but we're not going to do that until we've done the background and the foreground, because we want kind of a watercolor effect. And if you don't have this, just get a needle. That'll work just as well. But the reason you want to attach all these is so then when you release one, it'll release the entire flower. You won't spend hours trying to do this, okay? Alrighty, so that's the needle that I'm going to use to remove it, and I told you how to store it and how to thin it, so we're going to move on now. Okay, so I'm done now with the resist. This will take a little while to dry up, but I wanted to show you a little bit about my process. So I started out, as you remember, I drew this picture on just the way I wanted it. I want it real whimsical, so the drawing is not like, you know, a fancy study. It's just something I did that I liked, that I did quickly, okay? And I took a picture of it before I put it on my tile, and I took this, and this is the tile actually, so I drew it directly on the tile and I took a picture of it, okay? Then, after I got the luster on it, I took another picture. And you can see here, these are my little boho roses. And one of the things I did was I want the white to stay, so when I put the resist on, I put the resist over the whole area, because those are areas I want it to stay white, okay? Alrighty. Now, this is one of those sleeves, you know, the page protectors that you can buy. And I use a page protector to experiment with colors when I'm doing something before I actually do it. So the colors you see on here are colors that are China paint. I took my brush and I dipped it in oil and I played with it. Now this one over here I'm not going to use because I thought it was a little too dark. This here I like, and that's heliotrope. This was cobalt. I thought cobalt was a little dark, so I went with the deep blue green. I tried some of my greens. Here's a green that I tried right there. That's an olive green and I like it. I want things to be bright and have depth on this painting because I'm not going to do it twice. So I want it to come out the first time. That's how I test my colors and decide what I want to paint. And I just thought that might be useful to you because sometimes, and then I'm going to keep this by me because as you saw when I fired this, all the lines that I originally drew on here disappeared. Now, I put the lines on this time with a Sharpie initially, and then I thought, no, that's not right. If I put it on with a Sharpie and I use either a brush or a pen to redo the stems, with a Sharpie, you can't really tell because it's a black Sharpie, what you painted and what's the Sharpie, especially if you're using a black paint or a dark paint. So what I did was I took and used my pencil, my China pencil, my Stabilo, and I just put in, and right here I'm going to have to make a change. I just put in where the lines come down. Now, the reason I did that, see here and here, this is a half a leaf. This is a leaf. These are leaves. I want to make sure that the line I draw, I don't have to think about it twice, will line up with those leaves so that they're attached to the stem. So that's why I did that, just so you know. This you might find interesting. Okay, I want a fast drying oil, but an oil that will allow me to do kind of a watercolor effect. This here was done just this morning, like an hour ago, with pine oil. And you can buy pine oil. I got this from a painter's collection. And I really like it. She's a capital A, capital P, Painters Collection, capital C, @gmail.com. And that's Joni Van Dyke, by the way. But I tested it this morning. Now, I had read that MX54 and pine is basically pine oil with maybe a little something else in there. So I thought, well, if that's the case and it's fast drying, then I can do this. It'll be fast drying, and then I can do my pen work over it, and it should work pretty well. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, I couldn't get everything in that bottle, so I put it in a baby food jar that I have here. I caution you, if you have any kind of allergies, I'm going to move this up a little here, over. If you have any kind of allergies to smell, this smells like a very strong pine sol. So I would say if you're using pine oil, only use it if you know that you're not going to be bothered by the fumes, because the fumes are quite strong. Okay, you clean with turpentine or whatever your brush cleaner is, that's fine, even if you use the pine oil. But the cool thing about using the pine oil is when you put your background on, it will pretty much dry pretty quickly. And then you can, if you need to, put little stems and things up that way, you can easily do that. So I'm going to dip in my pine oil. I'm using my filbert, which is like a 16 or a 20. And I'm just going to put in like a kind of a bluish sky background. But I want it to be fairly dark. So I'm going to be dipping in my paint a lot. There we go. And this way, as you see with the resist, I can paint over any of these things and they'll have a nice, they'll blend in. Now, if you go back further on your brush, you can get more of a smoother sky. And that's one thing I'm kind of trying to do. I want it to be fluffy, not... Okay, I'm going to frame this eventually. One thing I want to do is put some yellow in up in this area. I did that on my test one and I really liked it. But my yellow's kind of strong. This is sunflower, so I'm just pulling from the very bottom and testing it on my tile because I want it just to be kind of a wash. I don't want it to be vibrant, okay? I want this to have a watercolor effect to it. You know, I think I could probably paint on my turntable, and it might be easier because then I can flip it around since it's drying so fast. So let me put this up here on my turntable. Okay, these are blue orbs up here. I have to keep that in mind because that's kind of what I'm doing. Blue orbs that I've already put in the sky. So, oh, I need to come over this way a little. And then I can turn it this way and blend them. See, that's why I put it on my thing. Now this is a yellow flower. I have my, right next to me, I have my painting, this one. Because this is yellow, so I don't want to put too much yellow too close to yellow. It really won't show up. This is pink. These are green. Okay, so let's get a little more. I think I'll do a little more blue back here. Okay. This tile's really nice. It's one of those German tiles. Eventually I will wipe off the edges on this, but yeah. And I'm doing kind of circular or C motions to try to give it a little coolness to the background, a little blending to the background. There we go. I'm kind of happy with that. And now I think I'm just going to come down and do a little more. I might mix a little green with it and just come down here and do it so it's a little darker behind these. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to keep going across the top and deciding what I want. I got my pine oil here. There we go. Now I want a little blue over in this area too. And I'm winging this. So if any of you are trying to follow me, good luck, because this is just my design, kind of what I want to do. You can do your own design. You can decide how you want your sky to look, what you want your flowers to look like, that kind of thing. Just, you have to really keep in mind that you have a lot of colors going, and you have to remember, like, this is yellow, this guy is blue and orange, so you have to think about what you're going to put this color near. I want it to look like sky, but at the same time, some of these colors, these lusters are going to need a good color behind them in order to be seen and set them off nicely. So this is going to be partially a leaf there, so I've got to be careful as I go down. I don't want to kill off my leaves. And then I think over on this side, I'm kind of one of those people that likes to put things equal, so I'm going to put a little more yellow up in here. Just a little. Just a little. Maybe a little more yellow down in here. Although these flowers are yellow and orange, so I don't want to go too crazy. And then I'm going to take, oh, I got to clean my brush. I'm going to take my heliotrope and I'm going to apply heliotrope in here just to give it a nice kind of a wispy color. There we go. Now I'm not too worried. If this doesn't turn out, I will do, put my resist back on and do another fire, but you take the resist off before you fire. Keep that in mind. And now I've just added blue because I don't care if the blue mixes in with the purple. I think it'll be kind of pretty. There we go. Oops, need a little more blue. Okay, and I want a little more blue up in here. Here we go, quick before it dries, because this stuff dries and it really dries quickly. Now, how far am I going to bring this color down? I don't know. So I'm going to clean my brush. This is more of a Tahiti. It's a real pretty color. And I just want to add it. I'm going to add it upside down, actually. I'm going to add it upside down from the bottom. So I'm going to take some Tahiti. I think I'm going to mix it with a little shading green. And I'm just going to add some color down in here. I want it to be the ground. And that's why I'm painting it upside down, because it grows from the bottom up. It's just easier. I'll take a little more, maybe add a little navy to it, and go over here. Now, theoretically, when this color hardens, I could carve it out too. So I'm not really at a loss for what to do. I'm adding a little grass green down here now. Oops, get some there. Okay. So this is just me adding color right now, just to decide what it is I want to do. A little more Tahiti here. Okay, so that's from the bottom up. And let's look at the top down here. Okay, it could be a little bit darker, I think, at the bottom. Take a little navy blue. Here we go, this is navy. And just add the navy blue at the bottom there. You could add dark purples. I never have good luck with purple. You could add a little bit of cope. I like cope. It blends well for me. So I'm just adding these colors in. And I'm doing them kind of sporadically, intentionally, because I want it to look more like a watercolor. The other one that I thought about using, and I've used before, is this drying pen oil from Dallas. And I've used it to paint with. What you want is a closed medium, one that's going to close for you. Take my Q-tip and just kind of go around the edges, get off what I don't like or what went over the edges. Yeah. Let's see what's up here. Up here is pretty good. It's really down there that it's more. Now you could use a sponge and put it on with a sponge. You could use pretty much anything you want, but I'm just trying to get the background in. And now I'm going to let it set for a couple seconds, and then I'm going to start putting the stems in. Okay. I'm going to get my 1/4 inch. Here it is. Yeah, this is my 1/4 inch. I like that. It works really well for me. So I'm going to take and put olive green on here, side load with shading green, and I'm just going to start doing some of the leaves. And I want this leaf to go behind that, so I just paint right over it. Isn't that cool? That is really cool. Okay, now here I'm just going to, there we go. All right, there's one. Now let's do the, this is already done, and it is with a kind of a darkish green, so that's kind of cool. Okay, now I'm going to take and use my scroller and just take some of that shading green, mix it with the olive green, and I'm just going to start here, and I'm going to pull this down. There we go. And then I'll work on it at this end here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. Okay. And I'm going to take my Q-tip and wipe out the center of this flower, because I think I want the center of that flower to be a different color, maybe a yellow or something. Now this is where I start taking my time. So if you're not into taking your time and doing this slowly, you're gonna find that you're gonna be a little frustrated. These two leaves on either side of the stem I'm working on are done with luster. I'm gonna just take that all the way down. And I want a little stem here to go down this one. There we go. I want a stem here. I want a stem here. I'm just doing my stems right now, making sure that I get them connected to the leaves that I have there. I want this stem here. There's a stem up here, and make it a little thicker. These are a little thicker. There we go. And then this one, it's connected to a half a leaf, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that. These are all half leaves. So what I want to do with those is make the leaves really kind of bright. So I'm going to take a little bit of chartreuse, a little bit of grass green, and I'm going to make the other half of them fairly bright. Let's get the grass green and the chartreuse in here. Here we go. Now, it looks a little odd, I know, but it's because I'm only doing half the leaf. The other half of the leaf has already been, then we'll lift the resist, and we will put veins on and what have you after the fact. Okay. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I think I'm going to make these leaves maybe a different color. Come here, you. I added a little blue to it. I want to make them a different color. I want to make them more blue than anything. There we go. And now you're just playing, basically, deciding what you want where, what you want it to look like, how you want it to feel. Oh, I forgot, this is up here. See, this is the thing you have to be careful of. So I've got a flower up here. There we go. Now let me show you what I'm going to do with that flower, okay? This is going to blow your mind. Oh, first of all, it's a little thick up at the top. Yeah, you're better off painting from the bottom to the top, and then that way you get things the way you want them. Here's another one. There we go. Do you see my orbs? Do you see how they kind of shine? I'm pretty pleased with those. I like those a lot. Okay, so for this flower, I'm going to lift the lower part off. And you have to have the big picture in mind, because I will tell you, this is not, it doesn't turn out the way you think it will until you get all the resist off, and then you go, oh, that's kind of cool. There. And there. You see how that's a blue flower now? Here, I'll hold it up for you so you can see. You see can you see it kind of reflecting there? It's really pretty. Okay, now I'm going to take this really weird brush that I showed you. I'm doing everything with pine oil because I want it to dry as I work on it. Going into my black, and I'm going to turn this. I hope you can see, so let me do it this way. And I will look and make sure you can see. Yes, you can. And I'm just going to take and add make those little open. You could even add some blue to it if you want to make it more blue. You can go right over your luster. Okay. You can add little so I will lift off the rose just like that. And it's pink and yellow. Can you see that? Pink and yellow. It's really pretty. And I'm going to take and use, I think using, well, the pine oil is okay, but I'm going to go back to my Terpenoid Natural. Okay, that worked pretty well. And now you're just going to continue to play. So here I'm going to take off this leaf. Oh, come on. See what a pretty green that is? And I'm going to take off this leaf. Now last time I did not do leaves, but I think the leaves are kind of cool. There we go. I'm going to try a different brush, maybe one that's a little thinner. Here we go. And I'm going to put the green, I'm going to put the stems down the middle of the green. So up here I'm going to, oops, here we go. I need darkest green is what I'm using. And I'm just going to go like this and this. Come on, baby. I want little side things off of there. There we go. Cool. And then we're going to do so we'll pull this up on the there. And then I'm going to turn this guy around and do the same thing on this side. Okay, Now I'm going to take a Q-tip and just thin these a little bit there. Okay. And can you see how I'm getting this to look more and more the way I want it to look? I'm trying to give it a kind of a fairy tale garden kind of look to it. And it's going to take me a while. I'm not going to get this done in this sitting. I'm not going to get it done maybe even today. It's going to take me a while to do it. So now I'm going to lift this guy. And because I did it all as one, it should come right up. See, like that. Saves me a lot of time. Oh, I like that one. Okay. So see, I was going to make the middle yellow, but that would have been a mistake, right? So let's make it orange. Here's my Southwest orange. And you want to do little dots, you want to do little stripes, you want to do things that are delicate, you want to do things that are pretty. But you want to spread them out so people can see the work that you put into it, like that. I need one more right there. And then my preference is, I want to outline at least one half of these here we go. Just so you can enjoy them. You won't even know they're there if you don't do a little fanciness on them. This is because we put the turpentine down. This is coming right off of the resist is coming right off the luster. Not a problem. If you had not put the turpentine down, right now you'd be having a problem. And see, now this one, I may not put anything on it. I might just let it shine, or I might just put a little dark on one side of the leaf, like maybe right here. Oops, I need a little more. And then down the back, just so it's kind of there. And we have another orb right here. I'll take the orb out. Let me just take this butterfly off. Oops, that came off too. Okay, they must have been connected. So there's my butterfly. Now I'll probably do the butterfly with black. And so I will probably do his center section. Okay. It's cool because it almost has like a rainbow effect. You probably can't see it where you're at, but it almost has a rainbow effect, which is really pretty. Try not to get on my stuff here. Oh, I need more black. There, now you've seen how we do the butterfly. Since we called this flowers and butterflies, I thought I should at least do the butterfly. And then you can do dots. You're going to have to do his antennae. Yep. I got on the side of my brush. That was a mistake. I'm going to do it this way. There we go. There we go. And there's a butterfly for you. Okay, make it very whimsical, and as you lift the luster, look at that. Aren't those pretty? Can you see how they shine? This is going to be very pretty when it's done. So I've only gotten a small portion of it done. I'm going to keep working on it, keep playing with it. I hope you will do the same.